Our bulletin for this morning, on the cover, it says freedom. You have space for growth. You have room to breathe, release from fear, release to choose love, freedom to create your greatest life. And I would add to that, freedom to feel. We're talking during the month of May, and I'm so grateful. As you may know, the folks at Centers for Spiritual Living, CSL, suggest topics for our centers to talk about during the months of the year, and they suggested feelings for the month of May, and I was so grateful for that because we don't talk about those things that we don't like to talk about. We don't talk about anger. We don't talk about fear. We don't talk about grief. We don't talk about those other things that are part of our human experience because, as we know, before, and you've heard this expression before, I'm sure, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So even though we know the truth, even though we're living in this teaching and it's wonderful and it's life-changing, we are continuing to have those experiences and how important it is for us to have those experiences. So my topic for this morning is, if you're happy and you know it, but also, thank you very much, but also an upgrade from happiness. Think about an upgrade. I tend to travel a lot on airplanes, and so I love the word upgrade because it means I'm going from the back of the plane to the front of the plane with a little more room and maybe a glass of wine or just whatever the case might be, but just a different experience. An upgrade from wine with a screw top to a cork. Although there's some pretty good wines out there with a screw top now, which is kind of exciting. But from Annie Greensprings to cake bread, just an upgrade. So up a couple of notches, or from the ground chuck to the fillet, just whatever the case might be. But an upgrade to a greater and more wonderful and more luscious experience. If you're happy and you know it, and you remember the children's song, and we won't sing that this morning, thank you very much, though you can later if you like, but happiness is being with all of you. Happiness is visiting with family or friends. Happiness is home with the cat or the dog, if you have cats or dogs, and hanging out watching whatever it is on the television with whatever it is in your glass and whatever it is on your plate. But I don't like the word problem, but the thing with happiness is when it's happiness based on a situation or a circumstance, eventually we will go home. I won't keep you past about 4 o'clock this afternoon, and then we'll all go home. We'll eat the chocolate cake, and all we'll have is a dirty plate. We'll drink whatever it is in the glass, and the glass will be empty. So happiness is very often based on circumstances or situations. Can we upgrade from happiness to joy? So that's what I'm going to talk about this morning, and I'm so glad you're with me. Deepak Chopra, I'm sure you've heard of him, or most of you have heard from him, in his book, great book, Power, Freedom, and Grace, and he writes, "Joy is an internal state of consciousness that determines how we perceive and experience the world. The internal source of joy, our connection to our Creator, our source, our inner self, is the cause, with happiness as the effect. Vedanta, one of the world's most ancient philosophies, tells us that happiness for a reason is another form of misery because the reason can be taken away from us at any time. To be happy for no reason is the happiness we want to experience." And I would suggest that that experience of happiness for no reason we could call joy, or happiness that's not based on conditions we could call joy. Sometimes we postpone. Oh, I want to tell you just a little about it, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Vedanta. It is the philosophical foundation of Hinduism, and it affirms our oneness with all of life, the divinity of our souls, and the harmony of all religions. Because there's dogma and rules and regulations and all the rest of that, but I bet you would agree with me that at the end of the day, all religions pretty much say basically the same thing. So looking at those things. And on their website, they say, Vedanta asserts that the goal of life is to realize and to manifest our own divinity. This divinity is our real nature, and the realization of it is our birthright. We are moving toward this goal as we grow with knowledge and life experiences. It is inevitable that we will eventually, either in this or in future lives, discover that the greatest truth of our existence is our own divine nature. So I am the essence, expression, and experience of spirit. And so are you. That's the truth of us. That is our divine nature. So sometimes we postpone our happiness. I'll be happy as soon as I get the new relationship or get out of the old relationship. I'll be happy as soon as I lose 20 pounds or gain 20 pounds. I'll be happy as soon as I get a new job or get out of the old job or retire or get my degree or whatever. But again, all of those experiences are conditional and they are at some point in the future. Joy allows us to experience this upgrade to happiness in the present moment without waiting for something to happen. This joy allows us to take a breath and remain calm in the midst of situations. If you were with Reverend Suzette last week, you remember she talked about the experience of fear. And rather than shaming ourselves over our fear, rather than denying our fear, we can allow ourselves to feel it, to recognize what's going on here, and then to return to that place of joy, knowing that whatever's going on, we never, ever walk alone. This joy allows us to not judge by appearances and recognize that there's always something more. There's always something going on. You know, the first year or the elevator pitch of religious science is, so you got 45 seconds. How are you going to explain what you believe? Well, we're always planting, our thoughts are seeds. We're always planting seeds, and our feelings and beliefs are the water and the fertilizer, and the seeds that we plant and nurture become our experience. So I've done my spiritual mind treatment, my affirmative prayer, and said, and so it is. And I'm treating for greater financial abundance. If I don't say, and so it is, and the doorbell rings and there's the UPS guy with a box of $100 bills, and if that works for you that way, I want to talk to you after the service, because for the rest of us, it's a process, not necessarily an event. But as soon as we say, and so it is, something is happening. Something is happening because our word never returns to us void. So in this joy, we can recognize, because I said so. Ooh, that's a good topic for a Sunday talk. We'll get back to that. Because I said so, and my words have power because of my oneness. And so we can stay in this joy and know that despite appearances, there's something happening. Joy invites, encourages, and even challenges us to say, I don't know. Can we say? Because we're pretty confident. This is science of mind. We call it science of mind because it works for everybody the same way all the time. So, and whether you're knowing dis-ease or perfect health, whether you're knowing abundance or lack, whether you're knowing chaos or ease and grace, the universe, life, spirit always says yes, and that becomes our experience. So we're confident about that. But can we also stay in the mystery of, I don't know how this good is coming to me, but I can stay in joy because I know it is. Whatever it is, I know that it's coming to me, so I can stay in this joy versus I'll be happy as soon as this manifests for me. We don't have to postpone the happiness. We can stay in the joy knowing that we spoke our word and something's going on. Joy invites us to pay attention, to take nothing for granted, and to allow ourselves to listen and then act on those intuitive ideas. I love Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg is not a personal friend. I do not own stock, but I love Facebook because I get the greatest quotes, and there's goofy stuff, and so that's why God made scrolling, is you just keep scrolling past the stuff that you don't want to see and look at what you do. And I found this great quote from Michael Beckwith, of all people. He wrote, "Outsiders may perceive what is happening to you as luck, but the truth is you created it because of your vibration. It is not luck. This is living under the cosmic knowledge." So luck stands for living under cosmic knowledge. How cool is that? There you go. Because I don't like to, and I've caught myself a few times saying good luck with whatever that is. I don't believe in luck. I absolutely believe what he said, but I really like that because then I can explain that if I need to. So, living under cosmic knowledge. Because we always know what we need to know when we need to know it. So we can stay in this joy. I have no idea what to do about this, but I will be drawn, I will be guided, I will be directed to whoever I need to talk to, whatever I need to do to allow this to happen. We talked, when I was with you 2 weeks ago, we talked about feelings and how important it is to allow ourselves to get away from the labels of good and bad and just allow ourselves to feel what we feel. And just for review purposes, our anger tells us when we feel powerless. Our anxiety tells us something is off balance. Our fear tells us what we care about. Our apathy is telling us where we're overextended or burned out. Our feelings are not random, they are messengers. So how important it is to allow ourselves to feel that, to question, why am I angry? Why am I fearful? Why am I joyful? What's going on in my life? And offer gratitude for that. Because what we focus on expands, as we know. So recognize what we're feeling and then move forward. You've heard the expression, don't worry, be happy. And I feel myself unconsciously with my hand balling into a fist whenever somebody says that, because that's a little bit of spiritual bypass and toxic positivity. If I'm worried about something, let's think about it. Why am I worried about this? And what can I do? Why am I spending so much time on this? And what can I change? What belief can I change to release that worry and get back into that experience of joy? because we're still breathing, because we're still here, I believe we are always learning. And ideally, we are always learning and consciously conscious and aware of what we're learning. And we can be students of fear state, or students of love university. And in this experience of joy, we can be students of Love University and enroll in these courses. Starting with Love 101, which is acceptance. I accept that upgrade. I accept that wonderful experience. I accept that wonderful time with you. But there are other things in life that we don't want to accept that sometimes we need to. And we won't be able to move forward until we do. You might remember Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's writing about grief. She says that acceptance is that last stage of the grieving process. That, yes, it happened. We have to allow ourselves to accept that. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. It is also not accepting whatever that is. Just making sure you're paying attention. So Love 101 is acceptance. Love 102 is forgiveness. And not the kind, I suggest, not the kind where we just wave the magic wand. Oh, okay, I forgive you. Sometimes our forgiveness truly is a process, not an event. But it allows us, as we look at it, as we feel it, as we experience it, we get past it and are able to truly forgive, to leave it and move forward. So acceptance, forgiveness, and then Love 103 is the use of time. Some wise person, not me, once said, if you're not using your mind, who is? How much time do we spend in worry, in fear, in resentment, in regret, in, and this is not a word, but unjoy? Because joy is this calm, quiet assurance of our oneness and that all is well. So the opposite of that is, oh my God, I got to pay the rent on the first of the month. What is that noise coming from the dryer? What is that noise coming from the car? How am I going to, and you get to fill in the blank. And our egos and our minds take us down those various and sundry dead ends. And we just notice, what's this? And bring ourselves back. Just bring ourselves back into that place of joy. Love 104 is abundance. Not only in our end, 104 and 105 kind of go together, but abundance in our money, in our giving and receiving. Are we good receivers? That's another Sunday morning talk, but is it okay for somebody to buy us lunch? Is it okay for somebody to say, you know, what you said was just, it made my heart sing, and I'm giving you a check for my tithe this month? Is it okay for us to do that? I had some electrical work done in my house on Friday, and the guys were there for most of the day and did a great job, and so I gave each of them a $20 bill. And the one was like, oh, no. And I said, yes. And I was going to put on my minister's hat and climb on my soapbox and say, you have to allow people to give. It's part of the giving and receiving. It's part of the life experience. Can we allow ourselves to receive and say, yes, thank you, and more please? And say that to one another as well as to the universe? Or do we, no, that's too much, that's too good. So that abundance in our receiving as well as in our giving. And then our service, giving of our time, talent, and treasure. Somebody once said, and again, not me, paraphrasing, that time is the most wonderful gift we can give to others, because you can always get more money, but you can't always get more time. So the time I spend with you really means I care about you and I'm willing to give that to you. And when we allow ourselves to do that, not in requirement, not in resentment, but in conscious, wholehearted giving, that just really lights up our joy. It truly does. So this human experience includes the upgrades to first class and the missed flights. It includes the chocolate cake and the dirty dishes. It includes the dang, this was a good day, and the what in the world happened today. It includes all of that, and in this joy, we can include all of that. This was the best day. I just have to laugh. Oliver and I were at Disneyland on Wednesday, and with most of Southern California. I mean, we've been several times in the last 6 months, and it seemed like everybody was there. It was a really busy day, and saw several groups of several families with mom and the kids all in really cute t-shirts. This was the best day ever. And Dad's t-shirt said, this was the most expensive day ever. And I just really, because it's kind of, it's kind of pricey these days, but it just was, I just had to laugh. It was so much fun. There was a point to that. I don't know what it was, but anyway. Oh, both sides. So it might have been the most expensive day. I have a dear friend in Phoenix that's getting ready to have her air conditioner replaced because it's May in Phoenix, and it's going to be June and July and August and September and October in Phoenix. And that was not the best day ever when she gave them the credit card or whatever she did, but it will be when they flip the switch and she experiences the coolness. So again, this happiness can be moment by moment, can be based on situations and experiences. This joy is the feeling and the knowing and the acceptance that whatever it is, I know how to deal with it. Whatever it is, I'll be led to what I need to know and to do what needs to be done. It's how we inhabit our lives, this foundation, this experience of joy. In this joy, we can recognize our reactions. A big part of this teaching for me that I love so much is it really knocked the cobwebs out of my brain and invited me and continues to invite me to ask, why am I worried about this? Why am I concerned about this? What is it about this, whatever this is, that's bothering me? And the teachings of Abraham talk about looking for a thought that feels better. If all this is my thought, is there a thought that feels better? And most likely there is. One of my favorite books is Smile for No Good Reason by Lee Jampolsky, and he talks about toddler wisdom. Now, if you've been with a toddler, and I have to tell you that last Saturday, I was in Jefferson, Oregon with my 7 grandchildren. Wow. I know. all under the age of 13. So the oldest is 12, the youngest are twins, and they just turned 3. So it's it's the most amazing and so wonderful. And I hadn't seen them since the twins were born. And so 3 years. And so it was so much fun. And I was so loved and so welcomed and still getting used to being called grandpa. But that's okay. That's totally okay. But we just had a great time. And so you toddlers crash and burn. And they're screaming, blood-curdling screaming from the next room. And 3 or 4 minutes, and then they're up and running and all is well. So it's a temporary thing, because back behind of whatever happened was that joy. So toddler wisdom. Bye-bye. You're leaving? Okay. See ya. See you later. Not, when will I see you again? What will I do? Where will I go? Do you still love me? Just bye-bye. I cried a little when I left, I have to admit, but they didn't. Okay. And I didn't take that personally. Okay. See you next time. Bye-bye. All gone. We finished lunch. But what's for dinner? What'll we do? Where will we go? Nope, all gone. Just knowing you can't pick the last orange off the tree. And you might have heard me talk about this before, that when we, as the orange tree, are connected, consciously connected and anchored to our source, which is spirit, we might spend the last dollar, but there's another one coming. So all gone, but there's more good, there's greater good coming to us. Relationship changes, job changes, whatever it is, there's something, there's more good coming for us. And so that allows us to stay in this joy. And then, whoopsie, spilled the milk, stepped on the cat, whatever it was, crashed and burned. Whoopsie, 2 or 3 minutes, up, going again. Amazing wisdom, isn't it? Bye-bye, all gone, and whoopsie. So this experience of joy allows us to stay consciously aware of our oneness, consciously aware of, despite appearances, somehow, some way, despite the most heart-wrenching, heart-breaking experiences in our lives, we never walk alone. It's only change. And we are still, and we are always safe and loved and divinely guided into that next experience. I love Facebook. I might have mentioned that. And one of the reasons that I do is because many authors will post information about their new books. And I had seen quotes from this woman, Jamie Veron, before, and she's just written this absolutely gorgeous book, Radically Content. Being satisfied in an endlessly dissatisfied world. And she talks about happiness and conditional or situational or future, I'll be happy as soon as, like we talked about before, and how that doesn't always work. Love this book. And she talks about joy. And actually, this is the last chapter, coincidentally, and there's no such thing. She talks about joy in the last chapter of the book. And she writes, and there's a lot to this, but stick with me. Joy for the sake of joy is the whole point. It doesn't mean we don't care or that we're not paying attention. It means that it all has to belong. It all has to belong. To live wide awake, we need our joy like we need water, food, sleep. It keeps us going. It gives us purpose. Without joy, why do anything? Once we stop the proving, the striving, the hustling, all the things we think we need to do in order to earn the right to exist, there is joy. There is joy uncomplicated. There is joy unconditionally. There is joy just for the sake of feeling it, just because we can feel it, just because it exists, just because we exist. Don't hold out on joy. Don't dole it out in small quantities. Don't earn it. Don't wait for it. Don't put it on layaway until you've achieved enough or have some idealized body. Stop giving it to yourself in microdoses. Give yourself all the joy, reckless amounts of it. Cover yourself in joy. Cover yourself in love. You will not lose your way. You will find your way there. When all is lost, return to joy. When everything is too much, return to joy. So what I know for us in this moment, and actually that sounds like a good place for a prayer. So join me in the light. So in the peace and the quiet and the joy and the passion and the love and the wonder of this moment, we allow ourselves to be reminded of our oneness with the God presence with one another and with all of life. And we give thanks for this most glorious day. We give thanks for this beloved spiritual community and the opportunity to be back together. We give thanks for this experience of joy and commit to consciously choosing it. Beyond happiness, beyond anything that is conditional or situational, we allow ourselves to rest in this, on this foundation, in this experience of joy. Knowing that we are always loved, we are always nurtured, we are always divinely guided. And as we are consciously conscious and act on those intuitive ideas that come to us. Allow ourselves to question why we're feeling what we're feeling so that we can move forward into this next great chapter of our lives, whatever it is. Knowing that this love with a capital L, this spirit, this life always says yes. And we say, yes, thank you, and more please. So we move forward in joy. For our time together, for these reminders, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is.